The Logitech Brio 4K webcam is a perfect addition to your live streaming setup. Affiliate link below. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel, and right now, no one is really talking about something that, when it comes to YouTubers and their ad revenue, is striking once again. That would be the only thing I can describe it as, is the Adpocalypse 2.0, but it is not the same thing as the last Adpocalypse, right? The one that happened because of the Wall Street Journal and the accusations of that Chief Keef video and it running all those ads, which we all know is absolute shit. Never mind the fact that the British government pulled its ads out of YouTube when it discovered that some ads were running on extremist content. That was actually coming back. A lot of people who do this as their job, as their career, as their livelihoods, reported that from about mid-May to the end of June, things were on the rise. They weren't perfect, but they were coming back. And we're coming to the back end of the year, which is when all the advertisers really start pumping shit out there. And it's usually when most people make their fucking money for the whole year, is during the last couple months. But then all of a sudden, July 1st rolls around and everything just basically kamikazes like a Japanese Zero on fucking Pearl Harbor. I mean, like, it just went down, blew up, and nobody knew why. But this article here is from 2 or 3 days prior, and it pretty much explains everything. And it's still crazy that no one, and I have sent this article, by the way, to some bigger named people that were complaining about this, and no one is talking about it, but they're still going out there and saying, oh, woe is me, my channel, it's so, the adpocalypse is killing me. And it's like, but that's not what's going on right now. I mean, yeah, in some respects that still is, but that's not the big reason. They don't want to talk about this because this is a different issue. And it's not one where there was a group that was targeting another, like targeting us specifically to hurt us. It's a group that was targeting the world's largest advertiser or advertising provider, WPP. And its cyber attack did serve as a wake-up call to agencies and CMOs alike. Saying here that more than 24 hours after news broke that a ransomware attack had effectively disabled the world's largest advertising company, WPP has yet to fully recover. Several hours ago, the company issued a statement acknowledging that the incident is ongoing. And this is from their Twitter from January 28th. Their Twitter, ever since then, like the 2 weeks since then, has not addressed this. It's been over 2 weeks at this point. They have not addressed this any further. This is what they say here. On Tuesday, June 27th, a number of WPP companies, though not all, were affected by the ransomware attack that hit organizations around the world. We are working with our IT partners and law enforcement agencies to take all appropriate precautionary measures, restore services where they've been disrupted, and keep the impact on clients, partners, and our people to a minimum. Having taken steps to contain the attack, the priority now is return to normal operations as soon as possible while protecting our systems. Our operations have not been uniformly affected, and issues are being addressed on a company-by-company basis. Many of our businesses are experiencing no or minimal disruption. We will provide further updates as the situation develops. Now, that's your standard response. It's your standard response like, oh, it's not as bad as it seems, blah, 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 blah. But you can see that when the world's largest advertising company is hit by a ransomware attack, they pulled back on a lot of stuff because the first of the month rolled around and it just dried up. Like I said, if I'm getting 90,000 views a day and 5,000 of those, give or take a little bit, are monetized every single day, that's a cap that's going through right now. That is what my channel, I think, is being allotted. Between 5,000 and 5,500 monetized views a day, which is why for the past week, I've been making the same amount of money almost every single day. The only thing keeping me really afloat right now is the generosity of the viewers through Super Chat and Patreon donations. And I'm not trying to guilt anyone. I'm saying that's the reality of it. So that's what I feel is happening right now. And other people have been feeling the pinch as well. As I said, I've been reached out to by YouTubers, both big and small, asking me, what the fuck is going on? And I tell them, and no one's talking about it, and I can't quite figure out why. But this goes on to say, according to multiple WPP employees who spoke to Adweek, staff at various offices left work early yesterday due to an inability to access their networks. And while Macs were unaffected, all those who use the Windows operating system continued to experience server issues today. Now this happened June 27th, right? So like right after VidCon, probably not a lot of YouTubers were thinking about anything other than VidCon at the time, and then this thing goes down. Saying many of you will have experienced significant disruption to your work. However, contrary to some press reports, the WPP and its companies are still very much open for business. Read last night's internal memo attributed to Chairman Martin Sorrell, saying, "Here we have a group packed full of highly creative, ingenious, and dedicated people. I urge you all to put those qualities to use in making sure that our clients experience the hours and days ahead is as close to business as usual as you can possibly imagine." And I'm sure to an extent they are. I've spoken with some channels that run purely gaming content and they have not been impacted. So I do think it is allocated possibly through YouTube, and this is one way of showing off YouTube's new ad-based algorithm. It's kind of like everyone else who doesn't do questionable advertiser content is okay. Whereas if you cover the news, you cover these kind of things, you're allotted a daily ration. That's what I feel this boils down to. I think I could probably pull in 200,000 views a day and still just get the same amount of monetized views. And that's disheartening to me, because it's like, well, it's shitty. It's the best way I can describe it, is that it's shitty. It's shitty for everybody. I know I'm not trying to be like, oh, woe is me, but it's shitty for everybody, and this is part of that reason. So it does go on to say here that meanwhile, observers around the industry speculated about the implications of what appeared to be a chance encounter between WPP and a group of still unknown hackers seeking to indiscriminately cripple business in the interest of short-term monetary gains. Keep in mind, this was a ransomware attack. Spokespeople for WPP chief's competitors, Omnicom, Publix Group, and IPG declined to comment on the news, but privately many wondered whether the security systems that these huge networks currently have in place could have prevented such an incident, and how they should proceed in addressing a long simmering threat that became very real this week. So these are other ad sellers right here. These are the other advertising companies right here that are also basically being targeted. And one of the reasons why is these are companies that get a lot of money funneled through them all the time. They get tons and tons and tons of money funneled through them every single day from ad campaigns. They're paying, they're getting payments, they're paying out, so on and so forth. And they're pretty much, they're ripe for the picking in that regard. And WPP, being like the whale of them, got sniped first, and now the other ones are just like, are we doing a good job? Maybe we should figure this thing out. So it goes on to say here that over the last 24 hours, my inbox has been blowing up with messages from recruiters. This is from Tom Pagler, Chief Risk Officer and Chief Information Security Officer at Newstar, a company that specializes in risk management and related services. He added that one very large company had reached out regarding what it called an urgent position in managing data security. I'm not saying it's WPP, but they're kind of speculating that it is, and that they got hit harder than they want to admit, and they need someone who specializes in this kind of risk management and can get in there and help out. He says here, the industry realizes that they're not where they need to be. When you see recruiting efforts pick up, it's really bad. And that's also probably not just WPP, but everyone else in that sphere that's like now going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. How do we two-factor authenticate like our zippers to our pants? I want to make sure my penis is protected at all times. Link that shit to my fucking phone. Fucking blood test me. I don't even care. Like, that's how bad they're definitely feeling right now. And it is because the industry was caught unprepared. Experts have now determined that the attack was a variation on May's WannaCry, which also targeted Windows systems and demanded payment in Bitcoin form. If you remember, that happened. That was big in May. It happened to a lot of people. I mean, stuff that even wasn't a PC was hit with ransomware from this kind of stuff, at demanding Bitcoin payment to release like home electronics, like smart electronics and shit. So that is something that hit this company. It says, despite a series of patches developed by Microsoft in March, both that attack and the one that hit this week did significant damage to a number of businesses and government organizations. Now, look, I'm not going to sit there and be like, it was Russia, but it kind of feels like it might be Russia. It does. To me, it feels like something that would come out of the Eastern Bloc. Enterprises are clearly not prioritizing patches effectively, says Forrester, a senior analyst at Zelonis, and summing up his key takeaway. While some organizations may have situations where they're able to patch or unable to patch, that excuse doesn't scale when you get a worm causing damage on this level. WPP got hit because they're so large and they have a presence in Ukraine, says Pagler, who formerly led cybersecurity firm and fraud initiatives at JP Morgan Chase. Ransomware is definitely here to stay, he added, citing a dramatic growth in such attacks over the past 2 years, which is true. I mean, they're going to keep hitting whatever they can. Like last night, you guys saw during the stream last night, there was a huge DDoS attack happening somewhere in the United States. We still haven't figured out for what yet. Right. And it was coming from like the eastern side of the world. So we don't know to what extent this kind of shit was going down, but it might have something to do with something similar to this. If these attacks are ramping up and they're looking to get that green, then this is a fucking problem that impacts all of us. Saying here, there's no way to anticipate what the next attack is going to be. Marketing and security are going to have to converge in some meaningful way because these things affect customer experiences. And this is coming from Stephen Wolf Pereira, the Newstar Chief Marketing and Communications Officer. Now, it says here it's time for marketers to stand up. Agencies are not unaware of this fact. In recent years, many of the largest networks have built internal security systems equipped to deploy their own patches and hired third-party firms to test their systems by sending fake scam emails in an attempt to better gauge internal readiness. But Pagler said that such wide-scale defensive measures can prove difficult within organizations as large and widespread as WPP, and other holding company sources agree that there is simply no way to know whether their own systems could have prevented what happened this week. One particularly frightening aspect of the WannaCry virus model is that it can affect fully patched systems once it gains access to the larger network. So even ones that have levels of defense that are up can easily be taken down by this particular variation of the WannaCry virus. And so people, they have got to be more prepared in this shit. Their employees have got to stop being stupid. That's the big problem here. It's the employees going like, oh, what you mean my email's been reset? God damn it. Check that shit. Now, look, WPP is based in the UK, but they have stuff around the world. And so they're clearly like the target, the key target. And they were crippled. They don't want to say that they're crippled, but trust me. If what we're experiencing on YouTube right now is in any correlation or any relation to the situation, they are crippled while they figure this thing out. And so who knows how long this shit's going to go on for? The whole month, probably. Maybe like in the case of the Adpocalypse, they pulled out towards the end of March, but by the mid of May, it started coming back. So who knows? Who knows? Pagler said that when hit by such an attack, organizations like the WPP must first ensure the safety of their most important assets by saying, at this time, we have no indication that either employee or client data has been compromised. This is coming from Sorrell, who works for the company. As you would expect, our companies and teams are in contact with clients on an ongoing basis. Now, at the same time, they're probably not going to come out and fully admit that anything's been compromised. But getting hit with a ransomware attack that screwed with them for what I can argue would be at least a full day, they probably have had some stuff compromised. They just don't want to come out and admit what it is because nothing's been leaked yet. Probably because the Bitcoin ransom has probably been paid. But now they have to review all their security measures and they have to make sure that they're doing everything correctly in order to prevent this from happening again. And I just want to say that if they did in fact pay the ransom, it's going to happen again. The next step usually involves reviewing both in-house and third-party security teams. If you're a holding company and you're not going to get the biggest and best talent because it's not needed, they're probably doing the minimum versus the other more heavily regulated industries like financial services that deal with critical data. Sure. And then finishing up here, it goes on to say, the Newstar executive predicted that WPP will soon announce the hiring of a heavy hitter in the data security sphere, and that comparable organizations will eventually turn to outsourcing this sort of work due to the legitimate, or probably the recommendations of legitimate security experts. He also argued that that the general trend of hiring a chief information officer who oversees a security team is unproductive, stating that the competing goals of making things work in fast and ensuring a larger security system will inevitably conflict with one another, which is true. If you go in there and you try to this is a big problem when you have these kind of gut reactions, these instant responses to these situations, is oftentimes it's not going to fix the problem. It's just going to put a band-aid on a bullet hole. It's going to happen again because what they do is they come on in, they make these sweeping changes, or they lock a lot of stuff down and you feel safe, but it's really just security theater. until it does happen again, and you're left there going, well, fuck, I should have been able to do better. Now, Wolf Pereira says the CMO has been living in a bubble. This guy thinks that marketing chiefs must better understand how a data breach will affect the brand. That's true. When such incidences often lead to millions in lost revenue and years of recovery efforts. Now, the years of recovery efforts frightens the shit out of me. Because if this is where things are going, man, that is fucking frightening. That is absolutely frightening. Because, you know, like, it's just, no. A greater share of related responsibilities would fall to the chief marketing officer, Pereira argued, because he or she doubles as the voice of the consumer. IT is going to change every single business, he added. It's a whole new world. And I know the article was long, and I apologize for how long it was. Again, this is something I was having a lot of trouble locking down into something that could be easily explained in layman's terms. And even I didn't fully understand everything they talked about on that thing. But I figured if we go through it together, we can talk about it, break it down, and get a solid understanding of what is going on. Which basically just means these guys were unprepared and they got spanked. They got spanked hard. And it might have been to prove a point. It might have been to make some money. The WannaCry virus model that was going around back in March, or back in May, I mean, definitely hurt a lot of people. It was a big thing. They thought they got it locked down, and then this happens. And the fact that there's been not a lot of progress, I should say, in terms of announcements from these kind of companies over what's gone on, it makes me really feel that things were worse than this article kind of hints that they were, and that things may not return for a while. And so just to kind of wrap this little segment up, I just want to remind you guys that your support of us is absolutely vital in this time. Who knows how long this is going to last for. With the Wall Street Journal and the Adpocalypse, you could see things were going to come back relatively quickly, because it was more of a show of force from advertisers that were pulling out, or businesses that were pulling out, saying, we want better rates, or we want this, or we want this, we want this. And it was starting to roll back out, because YouTube was basically showing them, no, we can be better. We can make these things work. Our algorithms are going to detect hate speech, or detect white nationalists, or ISIS extremists, or recruiters, or so on and so forth. This has nothing to do with any of that. This has everything to do with just a company that supplies these ads going, yeah, sorry guys, we're not going to be able to do shit right now, mostly because we got hit by fucking ransomware attack. We're totally butt-fucked. The entire world knows that we're butt-fucked, and sorry? And that's kind of where things are at right now, which, as a person who has a kid on the way and just bought a house, yeah, I'm already dusting off my resume. So we'll have to wait and see what happens next. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the video. If you guys liked it, be sure to toss it a thumbs up, slap on that subscribe, because I post new content pretty much every single day. Also, live streams, 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Sunday through Wednesday, and probably some extra days in between. If you guys want to support the channel, check out the Amazon affiliate link that was posted in the beginning, Patreon, PayPal, anything really helps out right now. But regardless, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for being here. I'll see you later. Have yourself a great day. Peace out.